So I'll just start by introducing myself. I'm Kim Dixit, the CEO and co-founder of the Red Pen, and we are an education consulting company that is based in Mumbai, India, and we've been operating here for the past 9 years and supporting families with educational choices all the way, you know, of course, at the undergraduate level, which is what we've been talking about in this whole series, but also for postgrad and MBA, also boarding school and other educational, you know, questions, choices, processes, etc. So we do all of that with our team here in Mumbai, and my partner, Namita Mehta, the president of the Red Pen, is also joining me today to support me with sort of getting the questions organized. So with that, I don't think I've forgotten anything, have I?
No, no, I think we're good. Just put your questions in the Q&A box, but I think you said them. Yeah.
Okay, I did. All right, great. So I'll let Brett, you can take over the screen sharing and go ahead.
Great. So first of all, thank you so much for, you know, being here today, this evening for you, this morning for us in the US on the East Coast. Thank you so much. And my name is Brett. I am the Assistant Director for International Admissions at the University of Rochester. So let me get this started here for you. I hope everyone can see my slides okay. So let's just get started. And I apologize in advance if you hear any cat noises. I do have a couple cats in my apartment, so my apologies if you hear any strange noise at one point. I hope they'll be good. So the University of Rochester, we are located in New York. I like to show the slide because, you know, we're not in New York City, we're not in Manhattan, but folks a lot of times will hear New York, and that's kind of the first thought. But we are considered upstate or Western New York, right below Lake Ontario. And so we are just several hours from, you know, major cities, Boston, Manhattan, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and others. So that's really great. And also Toronto is just a little drive. So we were asked today to sort of, you know, put together what makes our institutions different and special. And so the first thing that I'd like to highlight for the University of Rochester is actually our open curriculum. So we are one of not very many institutions in the United States that has a truly open curriculum. And what I mean by that is that we allow our students to actually study, you know, whatever it is they want. We don't have general education requirements. So if you are a math major, we're not going to require you to take history or, you know, biology or things of that nature. So that's something that is pretty distinct for us. And, you know, so initially all of our students that are admitted come in as undecided. And then you have up until the end of your sophomore year to declare a major. So that gives you some time to explore, experiment, and just kind of make sure of your choice. And we have no required subjects. The only requirement we have in terms of a specific class that students take is everyone must take a writing class. So we have a writing research class, and all students are required to take that course. However, since we are very passionate about studying what you love specifically, we offer that course in over 40 different subjects. So anything from Harry Potter to whales to, you know, physics and ideas, you know, we have to offer. So definitely you would still be taking that in something you're very interested in. Another thing that makes the University of Rochester very different is we are a Tier 1 research institution. So basically we have just a lot of research opportunities. And of the Tier 1 research institutions, we are on the very small side of the scale. So a lot of these institutions have over 25,000 students. University of Rochester has less than 7,000 undergraduate students on campus. So essentially that means a lot of research opportunities are available to a smaller number of students, which is great. So our students typically can start research their very first year at the U of R. If that's something that you are very interested in, we are extremely excited about research opportunities. So that's why almost 80% of our undergraduate students participate in research. And just quickly, if you are thinking, oh, that's not really relative to my discipline, maybe I am interested in theater, we actually have research opportunities in all of the different fields. So, it's not just guys and women in white coats mixing chemicals. That's always what comes to my mind, I know first, but all disciplines need research. So you can absolutely do research in theater and the arts and social sciences. It's not just the natural sciences. So that also sort of stands out for the University of Rochester. Third thing I like to highlight is our student life. So I think our student life is very unique in that we have not only a plethora of organizations and activities to be involved in throughout the year, but also just the community environment in general is very collaborative. It's very friendly and social. So, we have just a bunch of really, really great, talented students that are passionate about their interests. So I think that's why we have this 90% rate in terms of students living on campus all 4 years. We only require students live on campus 1 year. So your freshman year, but 90% choose to stay all 4 years. And I think that's partly due to our variety of housing options. So of course there's first year housing, which is very traditional, but we also have apartment style and suite style living as well. So it's very convenient for students to, live with their friends right on campus. You have a lot of different food options and restaurants and coffee shops on campus. So it's just incredibly convenient. And again, it's just like this nice little community of folks very passionate about what they're studying. We have a Division III team. So if you're interested in sports, we are not Division I, which in a way is really great because it means that if you're interested in playing for the NCAA, it's a little bit less competitive in terms of tryouts and submitting, tapes and things to the coaching staff. They're a little more open than maybe Division I would be. But we also have club and intramural teams too. So if you love basketball or volleyball or anything like that, we also have squash, which is quite different. And that is our only Division I team, is our squash team. And again, I mentioned, over 300 organizations and clubs. These range from a very healthy Greek life on campus to special interest organizations like gaming and chess and foreign language, to much more academic programs as well. So, you have a wide variety of things to check out. Just some quick numbers, facts here about us. I mentioned that we're a smaller institution. We're like technically, I think, consider a medium size, but on the smaller end of that scale. We have a 10-to-1 student faculty ratio. So essentially, your faculty absolutely will get to know you. And I always highly encourage students to reach out to their faculty and develop friendships with them. They are great resources for, getting internships, helping with class selection, making sure you're meeting all of your requirements, and not just, your academic advisors. So you can absolutely get to know them and befriend them, and it'll serve you well. Also, almost 100% of our students choose to take part in internships, which is really important to us because we firmly believe that our students should not just graduate with a fantastic education, but also with a resume, right? So that when you go on the job hunt, maybe prior to even graduating, you have this resume built up of all these things that you've done while you've been studying, which is very impressive. So those can be in Rochester. It could be summer internships abroad. We have a lot of study abroad opportunities at the U of R. We're really passionate about it. So This slide actually says 40 plus. Last I heard we had around 70 though, study abroad countries. So our students are going all over the world. Unfortunately, at this crazy time, we did have to bring our students home, you know, for their safety. So that is very sad, but we have, you know, faculty-led trips and also the like more longer term study abroad. So I had a student employee that was in, should have been in the UK in London this entire semester. Unfortunately, that of course got cut short. And also, you know, we have, because of our open curriculum, we have so many students that choose to double major because it's really not difficult to do with an open curriculum. As long as you're meeting the requirements for your major, so typically between 12 to 15 classes within your major, that's out of 32 classes total. So you can see how you could easily double that, or we have students that will add a minor or a couple minors. So that's a very common possibility as well. I just want to touch briefly on our application process at the University of Rochester. I think we'll probably get some questions about this as well, which is great. But we have a holistic review process. So we are on the Common Application, and we also accept the Coalition application. And essentially, we are going to look at absolutely everything that you send to us. We are test optional, which I like to highlight. That makes us pretty different. We've been test optional now for a year. Before that, we were test flexible. So essentially, if you don't want to send us your scores, that's totally fine. We believe that students that don't test well or maybe aren't the strongest testers, it doesn't mean you're not smart. So we like to review just what you send us. You know, what makes you special. We want to learn about you. So we will read your essays, your recommendation letters. I read about 700 applications this winter over a period of about 3 months. And I can tell you that I read through everything. And I'll be very interested to meet, you know, a lot of these students come fall. So a holistic review, you know, we're just not going to, you know, weight one thing over the other. We're going to look at everything. And I think that's really important to highlight. So with that, that is sort of the bulk of my presentation. Of course, I am really looking forward to sharing, you know, answering some of your questions. I know that, you know, I want to make sure that my colleague has ample time to present as well. And yeah, thanks again for being here. I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you so much, Brett. I think that was really, you know, informative, and you clearly laid out the sort of points about Rochester, and I think it's really helpful. So Oberlin, Sophie from Oberlin, I will let you take over now and share your screen.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Sophie, and I'm proud and privileged to represent Oberlin College. Oberlin College is a small liberal arts and sciences college with about 3,000 students, which is actually about twice the size of the average small liberal arts college. So we like to think of ourselves as being sort of the perfect size in that we're kind of a small, big college, in that on the one hand, we're a little bit bigger. With 3,000 students, there's always new faces, there's more opportunities for academic engagement on campus. We offer over 1,000 courses per semester in 50 areas of study. There's that many more extracurricular and fun things going on. But because we are still a small institution, we remain really committed to individualized, personalized learning opportunities. So 80% of classes have under 15 students in them, a real focus on student-professor relationships, and a strong advising system as well. So this combination of new faces everywhere, but also a familiarity and a strong sense of community and identity for every student. Oberlin itself has a long history that we're proud of that really represents our values as an institution. Oberlin, the town, and Oberlin, the college, were founded in 1833, and Oberlin is the first college or university in the United States of any size in any location that welcomed students of color to our institution. We're also the first college or university in the United States to admit women. So since our founding, we've been an institution that challenges the status quo, that is not afraid to stand up for our beliefs and stand alone in some cases. And that really says a lot about who we are, but also especially about this kind of students that come to Oberlin. OBs, we call Oberlin students OBs. OBs are independent thinkers. They're smart and they're bold. They have their own ideas. They're engaged, and they think that they challenge the status quo, and they think about their education not just for their own personal consumption or their own personal curiosities or growing their knowledge base or their potential, but they really think about their education as a tool that they then use to make a change and innovate in the world around them. So I want to start by talking about our location. Oberlin is located in Oberlin, Ohio, which is in northeastern Ohio. And like our size, we really think we have sort of the ideal location. We have the coziness of a small town with access to big city cultural attractions in Cleveland, which is just 30 minutes away. So Oberlin, the town, and Oberlin, the college were founded in the same year, as I've mentioned, 1833. And there's a really important sense of integration between the town and the college. There's not a clear sense of like where one stops and the other one begins. And it adds to the sense of greater sense of community that our college students have, and community members are able to take any classes and be part of musical groups and other clubs on campus as well. So while we're in this really small community with a strong sense of identity in the college and the town, we're also close to the city of Cleveland. And Cleveland offers a lot of opportunities for our students for academic enrichment and also fun. So 75% of all Fortune 500 companies have a presence in northeastern Ohio. There are 8 Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered in northeastern Ohio. Cleveland Clinic, Metro Health are 2 of the country's leading teaching hospitals. And we also have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra. So there's lots of opportunities for our students to further their academic interests, while also being a place for more opportunities for fun and for social engagement. Despite being located in Ohio, only 5% of Oberlin students come from the state of Ohio. We have a real emphasis on bringing the world to our classroom, the world to our campus. So we have students from all 50 states and over 60 different countries. We are 14% international, and a real emphasis on being an institution that has a lot of diversity of thought and diversity of experience. So when you come to Oberlin or your friends come to Oberlin, there will be some students that are like them in terms of, where they're from or what they're interested in or what their family was like or what their high school was like or what their favorite ice cream flavor is or what their favorite TV show is. But in general, students will be really different from them in all of those ways. And that's really important to us as an institution. And we really believe and know that a lot of learning comes from understanding different perspectives and being able to argue, debate, and be able to gain a greater perspective. So the academic experience. The academic experience at Oberlin has a real focus on academic freedom, of each student being able to have a lot of choice within an institution, of a lot of support as well. And so that they can really learn by following their own natural curiosities and not by sort of preformed ideas of what they need to know. One of the many unique things about Oberlin is that we have an open curriculum. And so fun to be joined this morning, paired today with the University of Rochester that also has an open curriculum. I know you might seem like a lot of schools do because we're both presenting, but truly this is a really special and unique thing that both of us have. And so the open curriculum really allows our students to be able to have their academics, like I said, driven by their curiosities. We offer about 1,000 classes a semester, and so you can really open up the course catalog. You will be overwhelmed by the choices and the things you're interested in, but open up the course catalog and see what you're excited about. See what it is that you want to know more about. See what it is that you want to dive into further. The only requirements is the amount of classes that you have to take to graduate and the amount of classes you take in your chosen major, because of course we want you to have a strong knowledge base and experience in that area of study. So another focus at Oberlin beyond, another focus of academics at Oberlin beyond the open curriculum and academic freedom is a focus on experiential learning, or learning by doing. We want all of our students to have multiple experiences beyond the classroom. The classroom is where your learning begins, but it can't be limited to just the classroom. We want students to be really engaging in their areas of interest in multiple ways, and the classroom only being one of them. So one of the areas of experiential learning, or learning by doing at Oberlin, is of course research. So only about 1/3 of Oberlin students are STEM major, but 65% of our students engage in long-term research. So research that is not associated with a class and that is longer than the course of one semester, that they're doing one-on-one with a professor or in a small group that's advised by a professor. We have over $5 million in funding on an annual basis that's to support student-driven research. And it is not uncommon for our students to be engaging in research starting in their first year, and for research to lead to presentations at national and international conferences, as well as being co-authored on journal articles with your professors. More Oberlin students go on to get a PhD, a doctorate degree, than from any other predominantly undergraduate liberal arts college in the United States. And so it's no surprise that, with great opportunities at Oberlin leads to great opportunities after Oberlin. And research is one of those things that really sets our students apart in terms of the experiences they're having in college and what they're able to do after college. In addition to research, there's a big focus on internships at Oberlin funding. We give about $500,000 in research in internship funding. And like I said, internship is guaranteed, as well as and so our community at Oberlin. OBs are really curious individuals. They are not one-dimensional by any means. They care deeply about their academics, but in no way are they limited to their academic pursuits or their academic interests. OBs have a lot of interests and passions and curiosities, and they're really involved. These are not passive people who will go to a club meeting or go to a performance and sort of sit in the back and linger. These are really actively involved individuals, and it makes for a really vibrant and dynamic community. One of an important element of our extracurricular life on campus is we have a really unique fusion of arts and academics at Oberlin. And a lot of that comes from the fact that we have a conservatory of music on our campus. So of our 3,000 students, 600 of our students are in the Conservatory of Music, and the rest of the students are in the College of Arts and Sciences. And so the Conservatory of Music is a professional school of music for students who have been studying music pre-professionally for almost their entire life. And the Conservatory of Music is the longest running conservatory of music in the United States, and it's considered one of the best conservatories of music in the United States. We received the Presidential Medal of the Arts from President Obama. The only other conservatory to receive that is Juilliard. So that's sort of the level of performance and instruction within the Conservatory of Music. The best part of the Conservatory of Music is that it's open to all of our students. Any student in the College of Arts and Sciences can take a class in the Conservatory of Music, can take lessons with conservatory faculty or with conservatory students. You can use one of the 150 practice rooms. You can minor in the conservatory, and conservatory students can minor in the College of Arts and Sciences. And the best part is that there's just a ton of great music on campus at all times. In the 9-month academic calendar, we have an average of 500 concerts a year. That's 2 or 3 concerts a day on average. Some of those are Oberlin Community members, but mostly they are not Oberlin Community members. So in the last couple of years, Yo-Yo Ma, Chuck Perlman, Chance the Rapper, Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, Kendrick Lamar, Lizzo have all been on our campus performing for students. Art at Oberlin is a piece of original artwork for Hall, and it's a teaching museum. So in about 2/3 of all Oberlin classes, you'll find yourself in the art museum at some point during the semester, as just sort of another way to be learning through that in that subject area. So even if you're a chemistry student, you may find yourself in the art museum studying paint pigmentation as it relates to art restoration. So the art museum and the music on campus are not sort of an expectation at all when you're applying to the college that you have a background in the arts professionally or sort of amateurly, but it does add a lot of life to campus, and it is a really big element of social. Oberlin is, we're focused on a holistic application. We are admitting a whole person, and we really want to get to know you through the application process. We truly read every part of your application, and we're interested in admitting not just top scholars and students who've really excelled academically and who've really challenged themselves in the curriculum available to them, but we are also really interested not just very strong intellectuals, but we want to admit people who are kind and are going to be good roommates and going to be really invested in the community as a whole. Because we have a small community of just 3,000 students, we want every student to really be engaged and be participating, and that's really the Oberlin way. And we read apps regionally. I read all international applications, so I'm your point person, whether you're tuning in from India or somewhere else today. And we meet 100% of demonstrated need as an institution, and we're proud and privileged to do so. Finally, we just announced that we will be test optional for this upcoming academic year. So if your testing plans this spring were interrupted by COVID, have no fear, you can absolutely still submit your application to Oberlin, and we're excited to have it. So thank you. That's a little bit about Oberlin, and happy to answer any further questions about Oberlin or U.S. college applications in general as they arise. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Sophie and Brett. I guess now we're gonna move on to the question and answer part of our discussion. I think we're just like perfect on timing.
Great.
And yeah, okay, so the way we're doing this for anyone who joined a little late is that we're just taking audience questions from the Q&A box and kind of mixing them, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm still on this slide, mixing them in with you know, the questions that we have also prepared. Just want to remind people that the email addresses of Sophie and Brett are here on this slide, and you can note them down now. I'll be showing them again at the end, but if there's anything that you feel like, you know, wasn't addressed or you want to know more about in this session, please contact them directly on these email addresses. Okay. So my first question this is the first question, but I want to sort of split it into 2 parts because I'm getting some questions from the audience also that are related. So one question, and I think, you know, Brett, especially, you both actually spoke about it, but you did say, you know, that in a holistic process, one thing doesn't weigh more than another. But I do, you know, we do wonder that, you know, this year, because things are so different and you might be looking at, you know, pass-fail transcripts or maybe, you know, kids who couldn't sort of engage in the same kinds of extracurricular activities or you know, just different things this year. Is there any way that you anticipate you'll be evaluating applications differently? And also, sort of adding on to that, there will be a lot of this year's admitted students who are going to ask for a deferment. So how are you going to handle that deferment, and will that impact the students who are applying for fall 2021? So it's a bit of a two-part question. So Brett, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kim. So, firstly, you know, with the current situation being what it is, you know, and how it's affected all countries pretty much across the world, we are definitely very serious about ensuring that our students, our applicants for the coming year, are, you know, reviewed with this in mind, you know, with all of these challenges in mind. So, in terms of paying more attention to certain aspects of the application, I'd like to encourage the audience to, if you're interested in applying to the University of Rochester and to different colleges and universities as a whole, I really would encourage engagement and increased demonstrated interest in the institutions. So at the University of Rochester, you know, we offer virtual interviews. So while we would love to have students on campus, you know, a lot of domestic students and actually surprisingly a lot of international students do come to campus physically to interview, get a tour. We are offering just a multitude of different opportunities for students to take advantage of if they're interested in applying. So the biggest thing is the interview. It's only usually about 15 minutes. I failed to mention that I actually, in my purview, I review all students from South Asia. So I have India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, but also like South America and Latin America as well. So I will be interviewing you myself, most likely. And so it's just really great to meet you. And so I highly encourage that. That's going to be something we're really looking for, especially as so many exams are canceled this year, right? With IB and AP and A-levels, and there's just a lot going on. So, you know, maybe now more than ever, the test flexible option, or I'm sorry, the test optional option is really attractive, right? So certainly encourage students to take us up on that. And also, Kim, for your second question, could you just remind me again? Because I just gotten a whole other...
This year, for fall 2020, you may see quite a few students who are asking for deferrals because of some uncertainty or not being able to get a visa or whatever happens. And will that impact how you read applications, or what you're going to kind of, or the limits, I guess, also on who you can admit in if anyone?
That's another great question. Thank you so much. So for deferrals, absolutely, we are allowing our incoming fall 2020 students to defer if that is what's most comfortable for them. So they can request to defer to the spring 2021 term or the fall 2021 term, depending on sort of how their situation is, because everybody has, you know, a bit of a unique situation. So we are definitely taking that into consideration. So when we are reviewing for our fall 2021 cohort, we're certainly taking into account how certain countries and areas within countries are being impacted by this. If it's going to delay, you know, application materials further, we're going to take sort of, we stay very up to date with the situation. So, you know, I would say for fall 2021, for our current maybe juniors that may be in attendance today, you know, just kind of keep challenging yourself. Be in contact with us. You have my email. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you haven't applied yet, our application does go live in August. So I just always encourage students, because you never know what's coming down the road, to apply on the earlier end of the spectrum, so that you have plenty of time to sort of assess what you need to do and sort of the opportunities available to you.
Yeah, great advice and insights from Brett. Oh, sorry, Kim.
Well, I just wanted to say, you can also mention this too, Sophie, but Brett, is Rochester an early decision school?
Yes, yeah. So we have early decision and regular decision, yeah. So
no early. Okay, got it. Okay, Got it.
Oberlin also has 2 early decision cycles, which is of course binding as well as regular decision in January. I think that, at this point, we don't imagine reading applications very differently because, there were always many different elements of the application that we really evaluated equally. We always say, there's no one part of the application that is the thing that will get you accepted or the thing that get you denied. I think that if you pushed one of us really hard, at least at Oberlin, we would say that your academic record is the most important, though. Seeing the combination of the courses that you've chosen and how well you've done in them, that's the best indicator of how well you will do at our institutions. Though we want to look at all the rest of the pieces too, and having a shiny record isn't the only thing that we're looking at as an institution. So I think the focus on your academic record will remain, with one less element there to help us evaluate you without the SAT or the ACT. So I don't think it's going to change that much. I think we're also going to be really looking at the letters of recommendation to get a sense of who you are in an academic space, and how you engage. And with all of the this very tumultuous year, how did you handle things? How did you take things into stride? How did you adapt? How were you flexible? Or were you not able to translate your strong academic work to being in a new context in the world of COVID? So that will be interesting too, is how you handle the adversity of this year and what your teachers have to say about that. In terms of deferral, we have absolutely been expecting an increase in deferral requests. I was actually just looking at it yesterday. So far, we haven't received more deferral requests from US or international students than in previous years. We are right the same, despite a real spike in questions about it this year from accepted students and future applicants. But I think a lot of people are kind of sort of treading the water. I'm sure Oberlin hasn't announced what we're doing for this fall yet. We've announced some possibilities. I don't know if University of Rochester has. And so I imagine that there will have to be some changes for students based on what institutions decide, and if that is not possible for visas or other immigration issues. Absolutely, our institutions will be flexible. I'm going to speak for University of Rochester on this one. Our universities will be flexible and understanding. And if you're admitted, we want you on our campuses, and you won't be penalized for immigration or flight limitations.
Great. Okay, great. Thanks. I think that sort of covers everything. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. And this question is really about, the kind of student that would thrive at your campus, but I'm getting a lot of questions about, specific questions about different programs at each of your universities. So let me try to mix this in. But one of them is, I think, Brett, you talked a lot about research. So, I guess a student who's very interested in research might, thrive at Rochester, and specifically students are asking questions about, and again, though I think Sophie, you also spoke about research, but you didn't, anyway, I think you probably both have something to say about these questions, so I'll let you go ahead. But the one is pre-med, so I know you have a combined admissions program, and can you speak about that? And the other one is, another specific program at Rochester is REMS?
That is our pre-med. Yeah.
Okay, it's the same program. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Two questions about pre-med.
Okay, so did you want me just to speak about our REMS program?
Yeah, I think if you can talk about the REMS program, and then maybe in the context of how that represents the kind of student that might do well.
Yeah, absolutely, great. So our REMS program is Rochester Early Medical Scholars program, and something, I didn't know if I would have time for in my presentation earlier is to talk a little bit more about, we do have 5 campuses. We also, like Oberlin, have a conservatory for music called Eastman, but one of these is our medical center, is right across the street from our River campus, which is the main campus. And so Rochester Early Medical Scholars is a 4+4 program. So what's really great about this program, and there are a lot of things, but is that after completing your 4 years on the River campus in your undergrad, and taking your pre-medical courses and, you know, doing everything else, you do not need to take the MCAT. You are guaranteed admission into our medical school. So we have a very good medical school. And so essentially you can graduate with your MD in 8 years, which is really just a wonderful track. It is, however, our most competitive program on campus. We have several thousand students apply each year, and about 10 or so are selected for this program. But I don't say that to scare you. You know, the bottom line is students are accepted every year. So just be thinking about, if you're interested in this program, just be thinking about what makes you stand out. Of course, stellar academics is highly sought after. But what makes you special? What have you been doing outside of the classroom? Any way that you stand out is going to help you there. So
and it is something that it is open to international students, obviously.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we usually have at least one international student every year that is enrolled in this program.
Great. Okay.
So.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I was just going to say, so in terms of what kind of student would thrive, you know, at campus, in general, it's sort of similar to what I said for our REMS program. You know, students that are really involved in some academic rigor, because we do have a rigorous curriculum. That's really important. So, you know, be challenging yourself. Our students are really go-getters, I would say. So they're very involved in their academics, but also in the social realm as well. So there's not really, we say, you know, there's not really a typical University of Rochester student, because, you know, we have students from over 120 different countries, all 50 states. And so it's just this diverse mix of just everyone. And it's wonderful because, you know, everybody's so different. You know, we have very artistic students to very involved students in research. And but I think the main driver for the University of Rochester is just this desire to move forward and to be contributing to something greater.
Okay, great. I think that helps. Sophie, would you like to say something about the student that would thrive at Oberlin?
Yeah, I think similar to what I said in the presentation, I think it's a really curious student who cares a lot about their academics, but really thinks about impact and wants to change the world through the things that they care about. And so these are really students who see their potential and want to learn to be able to make a greater impact.
Super, thank you. Okay. This is something that I think, you know, it's something that we always hear from parents about, you know, campus safety and how are different universities keeping students safe. But I'd like to ask it in the specific context of, you know, evacuating students during COVID-19 and how your college handled that. So can each of you speak a little bit about what you did? Sophie, I'll let you start.
Yeah, so students were given about a 1-week warning before they had to leave, so they had some time, and students were not forced to leave. Any student who could not get home or could not get home safely, or their home space was not safe, could stay on campus. We still have a couple of hundred students on our campus. They are almost entirely international students. Our faculty and students have done a phenomenal job of transitioning learning and life to virtual, mostly Zoom like this. And students continue to really thrive on campus. And it's been great to be able to engage with students. I feel like almost even more because we're also hungry for connection right now. And in general, it is a safe campus because we're in a small community. So I think there's always a sense of folks sort of watching out for each other and familiarity and recognizing when something sort of isn't right. And sort of a constant presence of safety and security nearby when needed.
Okay, great. Brett.
Yeah, wonderful. So sort of similar, to Oberlin, we did give our students adequate notice for, that we would need to be sending our students that could get home, home. For their safety, as well as the safety of, staff and faculty on campus. However, we have about 900 students that remained on campus. Students needed only to submit a request to remain on campus, stating, sort of their reasons why they could not go home. So a lot of, our students from China in particular stayed, and some other heavily hit countries as well. But since we have about a 28% international population on campus, that's very significant population. So we do have about 900 students still on campus, and we helped to transition them as much as possible. We definitely sought to put them, rehouse them sort of into two different halls that have a wide capacity for students, so that students weren't living next to each other. So everyone's still able to be spread out, limiting, them to hopefully not, passing anything, and staying safe. So that has been really, really important to us at the U of R. We do have a dedicated COVID-19 page, which we've had since the beginning. Is if you just Google us and visit our website, it'll pop up on the first page there. And it's just a really great resource as to what we've been doing. We are evaluating potential online classes for the fall, but we are still optimistic about having on-ground classes. So we will see. That remains to be seen. But in general, the campus safety is really good. We, like many universities and colleges in the United States, have what's called like a blue light system. Mm-hmm. So there are blue lights all across campus. You should be able to see at least one blue light from any vantage point on campus. And that's for safety. So if something, were to arise, a student can easily identify and go use that call box to very, very quickly be in contact with our safety on campus. So, however, we have very few incidents of anything happening on campus. Very safe. We are not in the city of Rochester. We are about 3 kilometers outside of the city. So we are sort of also in this unique little kind of bubble in a way. It's technically a suburban campus, but just a few minutes down the road, you have farmland. You have the Rochester airport. So it is quite safe.
Great. That really helps. I think, kids are going so far, and I think that it's always a concern. And now, the idea of somebody getting stuck somewhere is just, I think, giving people a lot of stress. All right, let me move on. So you both spoke, and I think this can be a really brief answer, because you both did speak about, what you're doing as far as offering virtual tours and online, admissions info sessions and things. So can you just talk about those things, as well as anything else that that's very active in terms of information, like social media, Instagram, etc. Any way that students can learn more about student life, campus, and also whether it's the right fit for them.
Yeah.
Sophie? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no, go ahead, Sophie.
We, Oberlin, and I think you'll find, so a lot of colleges have really increased the opportunities to engage with our institutions virtually. So whether that is having even better social media channels than we had before, with more content and more interesting content, but beyond that, we rolled out a new virtual tour of campus, and we have weekly virtual info sessions, some that are just for international populations, and several that are for a US population, mostly given the times that they are offered. We also have opportunities for engaging one-on-one with your admissions counselor. That would be me, with virtual sort of interviews or informational conversations, and also with students. I would really encourage all of you who are thinking about colleges to check out your school's social media, because it's a great way to sort of get a better sense of the voice of the institution, especially if you're looking at sort of Snapchat or a little bit more of a casual social media channel. You really get to hear from students directly. And I think it's a good way to get an authentic sense of the institution. Though we don't track who's following us on social media, at least we don't at Oberlin look through who's following us on Twitter. So that won't count as demonstrated need, even if you're really enjoying engaging in those. So certainly joining us for virtual panels and interviews will be really important as we're looking at your applications later this year and next year.
Great, thank you. And Brett, anything to add?
Yeah, so similarly to Oberlin, the University of Rochester has really ramped up our virtual presence online. So in addition to the virtual information sessions from week to week, we also have had a wide variety of student panels. So current students being asked questions in this kind of similar format. So current students, and that's domestic and international. I've also been giving presentations as well as my colleagues in terms of specific support. So, for our juniors that we can't visit right now, we're giving workshops. So I've presented on college fit, the financial aid process for international students, the importance of the college essay. We've been having a lot of presentation workshops as well, and webinars, but the student panels are also huge. So these are just a few of the things. We also have a virtual interview online, or I'm sorry, a virtual tour online. So that's really helpful. And of course, the virtual interviews continue to come in. So definitely definitely very present online. We do have a virtual 2024 experience page specifically designed to let students, engage with us in a variety of formats and ways. And also, let's see here. So I think that, sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, so definitely engage with us. There's a lot of possibilities for that. And yeah, we hope to see you soon. We're also on social media too. So yeah, okay. Instagram, actually just filmed an FAQ on there. So on our Instagram page, you unfortunately can see me. If you look at the FAQ ones, I've answered some questions for our international students there. But yeah, we're on the social medias too.
Okay, great, super. So this question, I wanted to ask you about financial aid. I think that you both mentioned financial aid, but if you can just review, how you look at financial aid for international students, whether it's need-based, merit-based, need-aware, need-blind, all of those sort of parameters, and whether you typically give much aid to international students, I think. And sorry, and then finally, will that change this year, if you know? So Sophie, I'll let you go ahead.
Yep, so we do not expect there to be any change in the amount of students we're accepting, the amount of students from India or from South Asia that we're accepting, nor do we expect any change with financial aid, merit or need-based aid. We do award merit and need-based aid to applicants, including our international population, absolutely. We meet 100% of demonstrated need. For all students that we're accepting, we are need aware in the application process for all applicants. And those are things that will continue. And we also award merit aid, and there's no separate application of merit aid. All applicants to the college are considered to merit for merit aid, and you're awarded merit aid based on your perceived strength of your application and fit and match with the institution.
That's great, thank you. Brett?
Similar? Yeah, very, very similar to Oberlin. We also offer merit aid as well as need-based aid. We also meet 100% demonstrated need. So definitely a commitment, very strong commitment to making sure that, our students are, if we both want, you want to come to University of Rochester and we want you to come to University of Rochester, we are absolutely going to make sure that, finances aren't the thing. You know, we really want to bring you. Definitely something that is available. And, you know, coming into the next cycle for, say, fall 2021, hopefully it won't have a very big impact. I think it might have, realistically speaking, I think it'll have a minimal impact. So in the past, University of Rochester has been second behind Harvard in terms of purely the amount of need that we've given for particularly our international students. So we may not have quite that amount for the next year. That being said, though, we are committed to continuing our strong international population on campus. And again, you know, we're solely looking at the applicant and their fit for the university. And, you know, if you're a great student and you're a great applicant, you know, we're absolutely going to help you to come. So, yeah, we're need aware in the application process as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have, we have just about 3 minutes left, and I have a set of rapid fire questions for each of you because they're coming across. So first one, I'll just ask these in order and you can say yes, no, or whatever. And then I'll ask you probably one final question and then we'll wrap up. So Sophie, can you tell me, does Oberlin offer IB credits for classes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is the average IB score you're looking for?
The average IB score this year was, I think, right at a 40.
Okay. And what's the most competitive major at Oberlin?
There's no competitive major because you're applying to the college as a whole, not a major.
Okay. And if a student wants to interview or have a conversation with you, when is the best time to do that, before or after applying?
Either, I would say, between the window of middle of September to January 15th is great.
Okay, great. Brett, I'm asking you exactly the same questions. Do you offer IB credit?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the average IB score you're looking for?
Just about the same, around a 40, usually 38 to 40.
Okay. What's the most competitive major at Rochester?
There really isn't a competitive major like Oberlin. You are reviewed for the College of Arts, Sciences, and Engineering, so you are coming in undecided.
Okay, and if you mentioned interviews, so if a student wants to do an interview with you, when is the right time?
Oh my gosh, really anytime. I mean, from now until, I mean, most interviews probably happen within, yeah, from like August to December, okay, typically. But yeah, be on the earlier side of the spectrum. That's always going to be best.
Okay, and then just finally, I guess this is going to be my closing question for each of you. If you can briefly give just a piece of advice to international applicants, whatever you, whether it's advice you would give any year or whether it's advice you want to give specific to this year, I think just something to sort of leave them with would be great. So Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, just, you know, engage with us, you know, with all these online formats and things that we're offering. If you're interested, definitely learn more by visiting us and taking part in these things that we're offering. But also, you know, I think it's important to just, you know, be proactive, ask a lot of questions. I know students can be shy about asking questions, but please, this is what we're here for. Please ask us a lot of questions and, you know, stay on top of what your interested colleges and universities are doing with surrounding COVID-19 and how that'll impact you.
Great. And Sophie, any?
I would say you should research small liberal arts colleges. I know that they're not necessarily as well known outside of the United States, or that don't have the same kind of reputation as other institutions. But at a small liberal arts college, there's a really unique opportunity for high level of learning combined with a lot of academic support and individualized attention. So do not bypass small liberal arts colleges and really consider them, because I think all the things you want to do and the dreams you have for yourselves can be actualized at a small liberal arts college.
Great, thank you. I think those are both, you both gave excellent advice to our audience, and I'd really like to thank you both for, you know, joining us this morning, evening, and
thank you.
It's been really great. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been, and oops, as I promised, one second, I want to just put your email addresses up there again. So if anyone has questions, they can reach out directly to you. And yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Great,
Thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye.